But as he did that, he saw a need, and like many of you, he had a dream, and he created his own company to begin to serve that need. When founding Pyle Financial Services, Scott sought to create an organization where clients could receive advice that was in their best interest rather than the interest of a firm's bottom line. This desire to offer unconflicted advice, as well as his desire to help others align their wealth with their purpose, has resonated with families across our country. Scott describes himself as a serial entrepreneur. His companies and partnerships range from manufacturing, sports marketing and management, international import and export, haberdashery, and residential and commercial real estate development. Scott has been widely recognized for his distinguished 30-year career in high-end wealth management. But he says his most prized award is the James Dunks Advocate Award, which recognizes his service to other people. Scott and his wife Pamela, a medical doctor in her own right, have pioneered and invested in their local community of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, by establishing and supporting many life-giving organizations. Internationally, the Pyles have partnered since 2009 with Africa New Life Ministries, where they've been instrumental in helping to build the Dream Medical Center, one of the largest and most respected private hospitals in Rwanda. Because of his extensive track record of forming and building successful businesses, Scott was appointed as a senior advisor for the John Maxwell Leadership Foundation. He's also a member of the executive team for Athletes in Action. We're also pleased to have his Chief of Staff, Damon and Deborah Adcock, with us today. Great to have you folks here too. Scott and Pamela Pyle are proud parents to 5 children and 8 grandchildren. So now will you join me in giving a warm Indiana Wesleyan University welcome to Mr. Scott Pyle.
I actually said yes to speaking because I found out that was the role that allowed you to have your mask off the longest. As you were walking in, I was thinking, who's the one person that comes to mind when I say, this individual is why I'm here? President Wright talked about that night you didn't quit, and we all chuckled, but kind of groaned a little at the same time. So what I would like to do before we get started is draw that mind up in your memory. Bring it from your memory into your mind, and let's put it on our tongue. And let's holler that name out. Let's give honor and thanks to that individual in your life who is the reason you're here. So on the count of 3, let's do this after the count of 3. Very good. You can tell I got MBAs in the room. You're going to holler out that name together. After the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Fantastic. Give yourself a hand. We are truly thankful to those individuals. Today is about you. This evening is about you. The class of 2021 sits before us, ladies and gentlemen. What do you think about this class? You guys have had a tough year, haven't you? This little thing, what's going on in our world? You're sitting here with masks. People are sick around the world, and God forbid, worse. And we're dealing with COVID. So you've had a tough time to get here. And so what I want to do is, because I know family and friends, we're really excited about telling you how much we appreciate you. So now it's your turn. On the count of 3, we're going to tell them how much we appreciate them. You guys ready? 1, 2, 3. There it is. I was waiting for that. They do. They love you guys. Yeah. If they're here, they love you. So what we want to talk about in our time together today, and I've been thinking about you guys for months as I have written, rewritten, trashed, scrapped over 19 speeches. Now, don't worry, I'm giving you one of those speeches tonight, and thank God it's the short one. But I want you to know that I believe you are the medicine for our world. Charles Spurgeon says it this way: truth without grace is cruel. Grace without truth is meaningless. But grace and truth is the good news of the gospel. There we go. Amen. Give it up for the gospel. Indiana Wesleyan, this university has intentionally created a culture to change the world. Now, I'm going to say that again. IWU has intentionally created a culture to change the world. How? Through you. Through Christ-like students who will live with character, academic excellence, pursuing it, and exemplifying leadership qualities in their life in an excellent manner. So as you go out tonight, as you go into this world, you have been a part of a culture that you can now take out. Christ-like students become Christ-like alumni. Has it grabbed you lately as you've watched TV and you've heard that there are, as we speak, doctors in hospitals and nurses taking blood from one who has overcome COVID-19. And then they take that blood from one who has overcome the virus and they inject it into someone very sick who on their own cannot overcome the virus. Have you thought about that? Now, the power is not in the doctor. The power is not in the nurse. It's not even in the syringe. The power is in the blood. Give it up for the power in the blood. Amen. So you carry the power. Our media, which has been consumed with talking about a vaccine for our world, for a virus that threatens us, has been silent about our real illness, our brokenness. Our brokenness, which is revealed by our social, political, economic, and racial division. This virus has a cure. It's not just a vaccine, it is a cure. And you, Christ-like students, soon to be Christ-like alumni, carry that cure. Sadly, we become a divided, critical, and unforgiving society. Friends, think about this. You embody academic excellence, so you understand why we need to investigate, why we need to collaborate, test, and debate while thinking critically of the topic, not the person. It should be you who resurrect the lost art of public debate and bring back civility that is so needed in our country. Let us commit to show others how to agree to disagree, how to vote for different political candidates, and yet still love one another. So, if you want to live with character, pursue academic excellence, and exhibit exemplary leadership, become a critical thinker, but don't be critical. How do you change the world? How do you change the world? Well, you begin with its culture. And you have the culture of Indiana Wesleyan University and the power that you've been given. If you want to change the world, you have to influence its culture. And if you want to influence its culture, it's important for us to understand how culture forms. Over my years of travel around the world, I have found that there are 8 streams of cultural influences. And those 8 streams are government, faith, sports, healthcare, media, business, entertainment, and education. These streams flow independently, as independent streams do. When they gather together, they form a mighty river. And this mighty river is our culture. The river is powerful, very powerful. The force of the river can be overwhelming. You know what I mean. Just post your personal beliefs or your faith on Facebook and watch what happens next. Put your opinion on social media and see the overwhelming force of culture attack. So don't fight culture, let's influence it. So step out of the river of culture and walk up its banks and find your stream of influence. So if you want to change the world, find your stream of influence and master it. I'd like to share 4 quick stories and a few lessons I've learned along the way to send you on your journey to changing the world. My first story began. I'm going to say that again. My first story began after college. I was hired by ITT. You can tell this is my third one. I want to put 3 T's in ITT Tech. It's ITT Tech. Are you guys with me? Someone hearing me? I just want to make sure you're with me. So I was hired at ITT as an admissions counselor, but really it was a sales job with a fancy title. My manager, Oscar, he sat me down and helped me write my sales presentation. Then he helped me edit and film my sales presentation. And then he made me present that sales presentation to the entire company. And for me, some 30 years ago, so terrifying. So imagine your first job, in front of your manager and all the company, you have to present your presentation. And then my manager took the video, and then the tough part began, the critique. He tore that video apart piece by painful piece. Then when he was good, we moved on to the next step. And he told me that if I wanted to be successful, all I needed to do was make 20 cold calls before lunch and 20 cold calls after. And all the while, he assured me if I did it within 2 weeks, my calendar would be full of appointments. So I did. And guess what? He was right. Within 6 months, I'd become the #1 salesperson in the nation with ITT. I remember the CEO flew in to take Oscar and I out to dinner. And as we sat there, the CEO looked over at me and kind of said, "Scott, what's your secret?" I said, "Secret? Yeah, what's your secret?" I said, "No secret." Pointed over at Oscar, said, "I'm just doing exactly what he told me to do." So if you want to influence your stream, and consider academic excellence a lifetime learning process, and listen to successful people. Friends, the memorization, the writing, the editing, the videoing, the critiquing, the work, well, that made me believable. And I knew that ITT Tech, I keep doing that. I'm hung on 3 letters. ITT Tech, y'all get that? So I knew that ITT Tech, I'm just going to say it, I'm going to give into it, was a good option for people to go that I would sit in front of. And that made me authentic. And so when you take believability and authenticity, it gives you credibility. And credibility helps you be successful. So if you want to influence your culture with character, become credible. Sometimes lessons aren't always found in success. Anybody have any difficulty along the way getting here tonight? Have you had adversity getting here tonight? This is participation part. So let me see. Adversity. All right. The stock market crash of 2000, and I know some of you have studied that. I was living through that. And then the horrific tragedy of 9/11 created a lot of adversity in our country. Years earlier, I had formed a real estate development company and had simple success, but nice success. And along the way, I partnered with other more successful people, and we did a large real estate development. To get that development done, I had to sign with my partners on a $16 million personal guarantee. I'm going to say that again, a $16 million debt. Well, with 9/11 happening, I found soon I was the only partner still viable financially. And the bank that we signed with, the bank came a-calling. You know, it's one thing to live through your mistakes, your own mistakes. It's a completely other thing to take your wife through those same mistakes and live them with you. I clearly remember we sat down at the kitchen table, and she listened to me for a little while. And now this is a table that had memories with family and friends, and here we are talking about the most difficult financial thing in our life. And I remember she looked up at me and said, "How bad is it going to get?" I said, "Well, honey, if we can't salvage the development, the project, if it fails, they're going to sell our assets, sell our house, sell our cars, and then they're going to want that diamond ring off your finger." I kid you not. She, without skipping a beat, she looked at me and said these words, "Is that all?" Is that all? I was crying, bawling. And she looked at me and reminded me, she goes, "You know, we came from nothing. We can start over again from nothing." It was at that moment I realized with God and together, we could do anything. And you know what? We did. We fought to pay every note. We kept every promise, honored every signature, trusting God all the way by continuing to give our tithe and our offerings and our talents. So if you're going to live out your commitment and change the world, you must know the value of your signature, and you must always follow through on your word. This is integrity. During that real estate chaos, God was favorable on my financial services business. He protected it. I could stand in front of you and tell you stories of building teams and building firms, betrayal of partners, betrayal of executives, betrayed me, they betrayed each other, and then they betrayed the very culture of the firm they built. But what I want you to hear, this is so important. People will show you who they are with their behaviors if you will pay attention. They will even tell you who they are if you're willing to listen. Please hear me on this. If you want to live with exemplary leadership, when someone shows you who they are, believe them and act accordingly. All right, what did I say? If someone shows you who they are, and act accordingly. Yeah, give yourself a hand. That's worth your master's degree right there. I'm kidding. There's a little more than that. You know, in Joel 2:25, God reminds us that He will restore what the locust has eaten. Through that season of loss and betrayal, Pamela and I, we learned to forgive when we were betrayed. We learned to trust God through the good and the bad. My final story begins in 2009 when my lovely wife said yes to God to serve in the country of Rwanda with Africa New Life Ministries. Now, for those of you who might know, Rwanda is actually Rhonda. There's no O in the name Rwanda. But Americans, we like to rename countries. It's just a thing we do. And so Pamela and I were going to meet with the president of Rwanda. It's really important. If you ever go meet with a president of a country, know how to pronounce the country's name. So I'm here on his benefit, on his behalf, to tell you it's Rhonda, okay? Pamela will say it's like, help me, Rhonda, help me, Rhonda. For you youngsters, there's a song that, all right. So we have great relationships with the president. We have met governors, government officials. We've taken dozens of trips to Rwanda, and dozens of people have come with us. We've partnered with ministries, started a business, and built a hospital. The hospital is owned by the ministry we're partners with. It is the most state-of-the-art, largest privately owned hospital that shares the gospel of Jesus Christ and his compassionate acts of healing service through the medical community. But some of you may know this part. This country's darkest hour was in 1994, when 1 million people were slaughtered in less than 100 days. During the Hutu genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi. But today, Rwanda is a modern-day success story. It is a true miracle. At the John Maxwell Foundation, we teach that everything rises and falls on leadership, as is the testimony of Rhonda. So what did the new leaders of the 8 streams of influence do in Rwanda after they stopped genocide? They chose to live with character. They pursued academic excellence, and they exhibited exemplary leadership. They developed 3 great aims. First, create unity through forgiveness and reconciliation. I want to say that again, through forgiveness and reconciliation. Our country, we can't forgive each other for a Facebook post. These people forgave for murder of their family, friends, and neighbors. They were no longer Hutu, Tutsi, or Twa. They're Rwandan. Second, develop accountability, where corruption was intolerable and outcomes, well, they were celebrated and measured. Third, dream big. Only big dreams with monumental vision could sweep up a country from the ashes of genocide in a way that has given hope. And today, you meet a Rwandan, these great aims are in their DNA. Where once there was human tragedy, what arose was agachiro. In Kinyarwanda, agachiro means human dignity. And where agachiro happened, transformation began. So let me ask you, what makes a nation great? Its government? Its economy? Its safety? I don't think so. Even though today Rwanda is the second fastest growing economy on the continent of Africa, it's the 5th safest country in the world to walk down the street at night, and has recently been named the cleanest country on the planet. What makes a nation great is what makes Rwanda great. It's people. They have overcome the worst of us all. Our humanity turned one against another. They are us. Our brothers and sisters on this planet. They forgave the most horrific of acts perpetrated then they reconciled and work towards restoration. They remember the past, yet choose not to remain in it. Rhonda's recovery story can be our story of recovery. So, remember, you are the medicine for our world. I want to thank President Wright, distinguished guests, family, friends, but most of all, you. Class of 2021. Now go and become a critical thinker, but don't be critical. Find your stream of influence and master it. Make academic excellence a lifelong process. Listen to people, listen to successful people, become credible. Know the value of your signature and keep your word. This is integrity. When someone shows you who they are, and remember, it is the people who make the nations great. God bless you and Godspeed, class of 2021.